Previously, Elon Musk went through with the purchase of Twitter, while Tesla started deliveries of the semi-truck. But the big news item was, Tesla stock was down 69% over the last 12 months. And in January,
it is a new low today, a new 52-week low. Speaking of stocks that have been in a downtrend, hitting new 52-week lows seemingly every day, if not every other. There it is, down near 14% today, getting back towards $100 a share.
There was further downward pressure when Tesla released Q4 2022 delivery numbers.
For the fourth quarter, the deliveries came in below consensus, which was for 417,000 vehicles to be delivered. They were delivering 405,000. Total for the year, 1.31 million. That's also below what the expectation was. Here's why that's significant. That 1.31 million, that's growth of just 40% compared to deliveries in 2021. Remember, the company's general guidance, which they gave, I want to say about a year and a half ago, was that they would have average 50% annual delivery sales growth. Well, this is clearly not 50%. Now, Tesla bulls will say, well, look, they said they would average that over many years, so you're going to have some years where it's not 50%. The problem goes back to China. We talked about this in December, and really at the end of November, you started to see the sales pace slow in China.
Tesla wasted no time and took action in China.
Tesla taking a hit in pre-market trading after announcing another round of price cuts in China. The starting price for a locally built Model Y SUV has been slashed to $38,000. That is 43% cheaper than in the United States.
Tesla wasn't done cutting prices.
Tesla is slashing prices of its electric vehicles in the U.S. and in major European markets as the company looks to boost demand. The move comes on the heels of recent cuts in China, Japan, and South Korea.
I want to start off with a couple notable ones here. The Model 3 performance from 62.9 to 53.9. And then the Model Y, right? The Model Y performance you see there, 69.9 to 56.9. And then now here the Model Y long range all-wheel drive, 65.9 to 52.9. Now it is below that 55K cap for those tax rates. So that car, when you add that $7,500 tax rate, that goes down around 45.
So what were the impacts of the price cuts? Well, the first was a major price war in China.
These used car dealers have taken a hammer and smashed their overpriced second-hand cars because new cars on the market are cheaper than second-hand cars. So even though they continue to reduce the selling point, no one is interested.
The second impact of the price cuts were a massive spike in demand for Tesla vehicles.
It was a week ago that Tesla said it would be slashing its prices here in the U.S. as well as in Europe and other parts of the world. And after that, what happened was a surge in interest in Tesla vehicles. These are new numbers from Edmunds, which tracks how many people are looking at websites of different automakers, different vehicles. The Model Y, now the second most researched vehicle. It was something like 60th the week before. The Model 3 has jumped from 30th up to number 11 in terms of the most researched vehicles. As a reminder, these were substantial price cuts that Tesla initiated on the Model 3 and the Model Y. How substantial? About 6% or $3,000 on the Model 3 and about $13,000 or just under 20% for the Model Y.
So just how much did Tesla's demand spike?
The most common question we've been getting from investors is about demand. So I want to put that concern to rest. Thus far in January, we've seen the strongest orders year to date than ever in our history. We currently are seeing orders almost twice the rate of production.
So as Tesla's demand surges, Tesla releases Q4 earnings with a record $24.3 billion in revenue, a record $3.7 billion in net income. And remember, Tesla stock is near 52-week lows while releasing their most profitable quarter ever. Next, gross automotive margins excluding credits came in at 24.3% as Tesla had previously reduced pricing in Q4. And following earnings, Elon had some major news regarding Giga Nevada.
What we're announcing today is a massive additional investment, and here's a sneak peek of what the factory will look like. Yeah, it's going to look sick. I think we'll end up investing over 4 billion. We're adding another 4 million square feet of manufacturing space and at least 3,000 jobs, direct jobs. So yeah, we're going to do our high volume semi-truck manufacturing here. We expect the new cell factory to produce at least 100 gigawatt hours. And as I said, that's really just to begin with. Long-term, Tesla is aiming to produce well over 1,000 gigawatt hours, possibly 2,000 or 3,000. So this really is just the start. And that's equivalent to 1.5 million additional Model 3Y vehicles. And they will also be using 4680 for stationary storage as well. Yeah, some people have said this is impossible, but you can drive it. This year is kind of like the limited production of the semi-truck, and then hopefully sometime next year we'll be able to achieve volume production.
Following the event, Tesla's stock rose back up to $140 per share, and then even higher in the following 2 weeks.
Let's talk about Tesla, because Tesla shares for the year to date are up 80%, but for the 1 year period, they're still down 35%. This is a stock that's gone from $381 to $108 and back up over the last year. That is a lot of volatility.
The volatility continued, and this time to the upside with more positive news.
Tesla's Model Y is the world's best-selling car, beating out Toyota's RAV4 and its Corolla models. And this marks the first time an all-electric vehicle is the best-selling car across the globe.
The Model Y is now the best-selling vehicle in California. We're not talking best-selling electric vehicle, best-selling vehicle overall. Tesla has now gone past Chevy, Honda, Ford. Now 1 out of every 10 vehicles sold in California is a Tesla.
That wasn't the only Tesla news relating to California.
California Governor Gavin Newsom and Tesla owner Elon Musk are sometimes friends, sometimes foes. They were back on good terms today. The two coming together to announce a Tesla headquarters opening up in the Bay Area.
This is, I think, a poetic transition from the company that founded Silicon Valley to Tesla. And we're very excited to make this our global engineering headquarters.
It's a point of pride, always has been for me, that Tesla is a California company. Started here first.
Tesla's global engineering headquarters will be at the former Hewlett-Packard headquarters in Palo Alto. Musk noted that Newsom was one of the first people to buy a Tesla Roadster. Musk moved the corporate headquarters for Tesla to Texas back in 2021.
Tesla will hold its Investor Day on Wednesday in its Gigafactory in Austin, Texas. Master Plan 3, the path to a fully sustainable energy future for Earth, will be presented on March 1st, ending it with "The future is bright." What is this master plan?
Master Plan Part 3. There is a clear path to a fully sustainable Earth with abundance. In fact, you could support a civilization much bigger than Earth, than much more than the 8 billion humans, could actually be supported sustainably on Earth. And I'm just often shocked and surprised by how few people realize this. So we're going to walk through the calculations for how to create a sustainable energy civilization.
And to set the stage, today our energy economy, let's be honest, it's dirty and it's wasteful. Over 80% of global energy, primary energy, comes from fossil fuels, and only 1/3 of that global energy actually ends up delivering useful work or heat. But the nice thing about an electrified economy, through end-use efficiency and through efficiency along every step of the way, actually the total energy use halves. So this is one of the most enabling aspects of electrifying everything, is that the sustainable energy economy is that much easier to accomplish. It's actually half the problem statement of the fossil fuel economy. So how the master plan works, you want to talk about?
The thing that is needed at very large scale that is not currently present is a vast amount of battery energy storage. Our rough calculations are that this is about 240 terawatt hours, or 240,000 gigawatt hours. So if you've got solar or wind, you've got to store the energy when the wind is not blowing, the sun is not shining. And in terms of wind and solar, how much land would be used? It's less than 0.2% of the land area of Earth. The electrified economy will require less mining than the current economy does.
Yes.
Less, not more.
And now we'll get into a little bit more of the details of the plan. basically 5 areas of work. First, renewable power the existing grid. Second, switch to electric vehicles. And one of the reasons why EVs are so enabling is this end-use efficiency point. Tesla Model 3, it's 4 times more efficient from the well to wheel than a Toyota Corolla. And that's all about the efficiency of getting the electricity into the car in a sustainable energy economy, and then how efficient the car is in transferring that stored energy to motion on the road. Third, switch homes, businesses, and industry heating to heat pumps. This is actually the lowest hanging fruit in terms of displacing fossil fuels. You know, they're all over this factory, they're in your house, and from an end-use efficiency perspective, there's a three times reduction in the total energy required to heat these buildings. Fourth, high-temp heat delivery and storage for high-temp industrial and chemical processes, and a little bit of green hydrogen in there for chemical processes that need hydrogen. And lastly, a small part of the pie, but a necessary part of the pie, is sustainably fueling planes and boats. Shipping accounts for 3% of global CO2. It's ripe for electrification. Even with lithium iron phosphate, long-haul ships can be fully battery-powered. So in the end, a sustainable energy economy is within our reach, and we should accelerate it.
Yeah, I mean, so this is really the main message of today. And I really want today to be not just about Tesla investors who own stock, but really anyone who is an investor in Earth. What we're trying to convey is a message of hope and optimism. Optimism that is based on actual physics and real calculations, it's not wishful thinking. Earth can and will move to a sustainable energy economy, and will do so in your lifetime.
Then, France and Lars gave an insight on Tesla's next-generation platform.
The traditional way of making a vehicle is this. You stamp it, you build a body in white, you paint it, and you do final assembly. And when you watch it happen, it's actually really silly to a guy like me. You take all these stamp panels, you put them together, then you put them in a framing station, you build a body that looks something like a car, you put the doors on, and then you paint them. Once you get the color, you take the doors off, and then you start putting the interior inside the car. It comes in through the openings that already exist. I wish it went in like this big piece like this, but there's actually people coming in and out of the car. There's awkward movements. Then we lift the car up, we put stuff from underneath it, we put it down, then we put the seats in the car, and finally we close it all out with glass and we bring those doors that went away for a trip and we put them back in the car. If we're going to scale the way we want to do, we have to rethink manufacturing again. As part of the master plan, we have to make another step change in cost. In the end, that will probably look something like this, with a much shorter final line, blocking a lot less of the entire rest of the factory, so we can optimize material flow using the best practices. And what that means, it's going to look something like this, where we build all the sides of the cars independently, we only paint what we need to, and then we assemble the parts of the car once and only once. We put them where they need to go. The interior is attached from a bottom-up or a top-down strategy, so there's more access for those robots and people. We aren't moving heavy objects around and doing nothing to it. And it means we're doing more work on the car more of the time. And then when we take all of these tested sub-assemblies and we put them together, we finally assemble the car only one time, putting the sides on with all of their parts to a front and rear that was already assembled, carrying the floor in with the seats, and finally boxing it out with the doors one time, just like Cybertruck. So in the end, you get the same car. It leads us to greater than 40% reduction in footprint, which means we can build factories faster, with less CapEx, and more output per unit. Faster, less CapEx, more output per unit dollar. We'll reduce costs as much as 50%.
And then, Elon announces the location of Tesla's next Gigafactory.
Probably the most significant announcement of the day is that we're excited to announce that the next Tesla Gigafactory will be in Mexico near Monterrey. We intend to increase production at all factories, so the Giga Mexico would be supplemental to the output of all the other factories. So this is not, to be clear, moving output from anywhere to anywhere. It is simply about expanding total global output.
So Tesla announced a new factory. How they're going to reduce production costs in half, amongst many other details, and the response?
Yeah, the vibe wasn't good. Simply put here, take a look at shares here on the day. They're moving lower by about 7%. And this comes after Tesla's Investor Day when there were details significantly lacking here. And, you know, one thing that I particularly think about with this vibe check and giving it a bad vibe from the Investor Day was the recollection of these pauses that you would hear from the Tesla management when they would announce something that at any other type of Investor Day might get met with a round of applause or a cheer from the crowd or the investors that was there. That was absent. Investors, they expected new vehicles, not mystery machines at the end of the day. That's just what they got. They got two vehicles that were essentially cloaked over and teased, but no indication of price, no indication of timeline and when they might be announced. However, we did just get confirmation that there would be next generation vehicles. It's just unclear unless you wanted to go and trace out the silhouette.
Meanwhile, Tesla announced Q1 deliveries.
Here were the numbers in the first quarter, coming in at just over 422,000 vehicles, up 4% sequentially compared to the fourth quarter, up 36% compared to the first quarter of 2022. There's no doubt that the price cuts in China, as well as here in the U.S. during the first quarter, certainly impacted deliveries. The big question will be margins. Morgan, we have Tesla hitting the exact expectation in terms of earnings per share that the analysts were giving, 85 cents per share on revenue, coming in at $23.33 billion. The street was at $23.2 billion. The automotive gross margins coming in at 18.3%. The street was expecting them to come in at 20.5%.
On the conference call, Elon explained Tesla's strategy over pricing and margins.
We've taken a view that pushing for higher volumes and a larger fleet is the right choice here versus a lower volume and higher margin. However, we expect our vehicles over time will be able to generate significant profit through autonomy. So we do believe we're laying the groundwork here. This is an extremely important point.
So in summary, Tesla had an action-packed start to the year. They announced an expansion to Giga Nevada to massively expand battery output and the production of the Tesla semi-truck, announced a new design headquarters in California, a strategy to reduce production costs by 50% for the next generation platform, the location of the next Gigafactory in Monterrey, Mexico, along with Master Plan Part 3, which all comes down to Tesla's mission statement.
Why does Tesla exist? Why are we making electric cars? Why does it matter? It's because it's very important to accelerate the transition to sustainable transport.
There is a clear path to a fully sustainable Earth with abundance. And I'm just often shocked and surprised by how few people realize this.
You can actually power the United States with roughly a 100-mile grid of solar. Sometimes people don't quite understand, well, how much solar is needed to power the United States? Almost nothing. The solar incidence is a gigawatt per square kilometer. This is insane. I want to be clear. No physics is necessary. No new materials is necessary. We just need to scale this thing up. We have the technologies exist today to solve renewable energy. And sometimes people say, well, why don't we do it? That's because the energy basis of the Earth is gigantic, super mega insanely gigantic. So you can't just go and do a zillion terawatts overnight. You've got to build the production capacity for the battery cells, the solar cells. You've got to put that into vehicles. So you've got to put that into stationary storage packs. You've got to put that into solar panels and solar glass roofs, and you've got to deploy all this stuff. But sustainable energy, renewable energy will be solved. It is being solved, but it matters how fast we solve it. And if we solve it faster, that's better for the world. No question in my mind whatsoever that the energy storage problem can be solved with lithium-ion batteries. Zero. I want to be clear. Zero.
Finally, a big thank you to all Patreon members and Ice Lake Investments for making this documentary series possible. And remember, all content is for educational and entertainment purposes and not financial advice. So till next time, I'll catch you guys soon.